Thank you very much, Glenn, and thank you to the Wasaga Beach Ratepayers Association for hosting another great event. I couldn't be happier to be here, and thank you to our partners who are here tonight. And before I get to the partners in business, if you will, Matthew, what a touching, wonderful story. Thank you. You certainly put into perspective what community is all about. And you know, folks, I couldn't be more proud to be your mayor. And as I'm out and about in the community, and I know members of council are all the time, we often hear people say, you know, we're going to become this large city. And that simply isn't the case. We're going to become a larger community, no doubt. And you hear, well, we're going to lose that small town charm. Folks, let me tell you something. It's not hotels, it's not condos, it's not businesses, it's not streets, it's not parks that make a community a small town feel where people feel loved, cared for, and welcomed. It's you. Yeah. Thank you. And I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that you, the people, will keep this a small town vibe, a loving, caring community for many generations to come. So I'm kind of at a loss because each one of these guys before me kind of did my whole presentation. So if I could just take the check and go, it'd be a quicker night. But I'll go through it anyway. You know, I was asked to come and speak and to give an update on basically what's been happening over the last few years here in Wasaga Beach and where we're at today. So we're going to do that, and then happy to take your questions. So next slide, please. So, you know, we started out in the beginning 3.5 years ago with council's priorities, and we had 84 priorities. And I can tell you that is probably an unprecedented amount of priorities for any council in a town this size. Maybe large cities, but certainly not small town Ontario. And I'm happy and proud to stand here and say that we have either accomplished or we are well on our way to accomplishing each and every one of those. So one of those priorities was to bring a long-term care facility to Wasaga Beach. Again, as you know, Wasaga Beach has a large aging community. It is changing slightly because we know, to Matthew's point, that a lot of new young families are moving here because contrary to what some people believe, Wasaga Beach is still at the very lowest of the table when it comes to property tax. It is still at the very lowest of the table when it comes to development charges and fees. Water and sewer, it is very low, and so it is a very economically feasible place to live. And housing here is still one of the lowest. And so that's what's going to attract new families. And our partners, the gentlemen who have come up here before and spoke tonight, are building different types of housing that is even going to help that be more successful. So we announced just last week, after council came into power, we said to staff, look, we need a long-term care, and you need to get out and you need to find companies and talk to companies that do this. And we also had conversations, myself and Deputy Mayor Snell, who represent you on county council with the County of Simcoe, who has 4 long-term care homes. And staff came back with a few options, and we ended up having some discussions, and we ended up speaking to another partner called People Care. People Care is a private company that runs long-term care facilities. They have 6 of them throughout the province. They have an excellent reputation, not only with the folks who use their facilities and their families, because we were able to talk to some of those folks, myself and Deputy Mayor Snell, as we toured these facilities, but they have an excellent reputation and relationship with the province of Ontario. And so it wasn't but a year ago, myself, the Deputy Mayor, and some of our staff were out trudging through the snow and whatnot, you know, with People Care, looking at different opportunities, different pieces of land within our community. We agreed that they were going to come here It will be the largest long-term care facility in the South Georgian Bay region by about 100 beds. We then took people care with us, and this is what we like to do. We like to go down to Queen's Park and or to these conferences, and we do delegations with different ministries, and we like to bring our partners with us. And so in this case, we ask people care to come and join us as we delegated to the Minister of Long-Term Care. And we did that delegation 10 months ago. And last Thursday, we announced this 288-bed facilities. Ladies and gentlemen, if you think Wasaga Beach Council moves slow, and believe me, there are days where I just want to, well, I have pulled my hair out. But as you move up the ladder to the county and then the province and the feds, it gets slower and slower and slower. So to have this announcement and to have this commitment by the province in partnership with the town and with People Care, and of course the landowner where it will be built with Mark Crow. This is lightning speed, and they will get in the ground and start to build this facility in November of this year, 2026, which will bring 350 more jobs to Wasaga Beach. Next slide. I thought I'd talk about this quick because, as you may have heard me say before, for every question I get out in the community over this last 2 years, I get probably 20 to 1 Costco. Nothing else matters anymore. And there has been some miscommunication and disinformation out there in the public that it has now been postponed until the spring. That is absolutely 100% unequivocally not true. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, I'll be meeting with 30 Costco representatives and executives here in Wasaga Beach, and we'll be doing a presentation where they will be announcing that this will be open this fall. This, ladies and gentlemen, is another 370 plus well-paying jobs for our community. And what's important to note about this particular deal is a previous council had negotiated some things, different things around development charges on these lands. And this council said, whoa, no, these are big dollars. And so we actually went back to the master developer and we renegotiated. I'm happy to tell you that because of that, Costco has paid full DCs on this build, and the developer has agreed moving forward that full DCs will be paid, and that's another approximately $7 to $10 million value that you didn't have 3.5 years ago that you now have today. And of course, the Marriott Hotel, as Kenny mentioned, last Thursday, Council approved the offer of purchase and sale, so that is now a firm deal. It will close on the 6th of July. And as Kenny knows, our last meeting, it was pretty clear that we will be in the ground this summer or early fall, and we will be starting to build. What I got to tell you folks, when we were down to see Sunray 2 weeks ago, Friday, I guess it was, they gave us a sneak peek, myself and Andrew McNeil, into some of the interior photos of this hotel. Man, oh man, wait till you see this place. I said to them, they started to talk about budget. I don't want to let all the cats out of the bag, and Kenny's giving me the evil eye right now. But, this hotel started out at, I believe, 40 million, Kenny. Went to 65 million. We're a little above that now. I'll let them tell you what that is when the time is right. But when we looked at these interior pictures, I got to admit to you, I said, look, gentlemen, it's Wasaga Beach. It's probably been 50, 60 years, maybe more, since any kind of hotel, motel has been built in this community. What you planned on day one would have been more than adequate. And their response was something along the lines, this is the longest freshwater beach in the world. Yeah. And this is the Sunray Group, and we don't do anything second best. So I can tell you that they are 100% committed to getting this hotel up and built first. There are other phases, but you know, folks, there's a lot of dollars already been invested in this project, and we haven't even put a shovel in the ground. And when I say a lot of dollars, I'm not talking $200, $300. I'm talking millions. And so I am so excited to see this get started. And you know, it's the picture doesn't do it justice because it's kind of just out there on its own. And as things start to build around it, it is going to be pretty spectacular. It will be the grain elevators of Collingwood for Wasaga Beach, there's no doubt in my mind. Next slide, please. So I want to talk a little bit about the beachfront and the land purchases. Back in 2014, when I was first mayor, I went to council after having a meeting with the owners of all this land. I was 3 weeks in, and I asked the CAO at the time, George Vadavancourt, to reach out to the owners of this land and have them come and see us, because the decay and the way that they were not maintaining things was not acceptable to the people of Wasaga Beach. And so they set up an appointment, and 4 o'clock one afternoon they show up. And of course, when they showed up and I went in and they introduced everybody, I knew things weren't probably going to go well because they came with their lawyer. And so when you ask for a simple conversation and people bring their lawyer, you kind of think, oh boy, here we go. So we had a good long conversation, and I asked them, you know, what are your plans here? Because your plans so far aren't working, and we need to move forward. The town of Wasaga Beach deserves more than this. And they were very, very clear. They were clear in that they had no plans short term, and that they were going to just sit on this until such time that they thought it would be right to develop it or move forward. And I told them that was not acceptable. And they kind of said, well, that's too bad. It's our land, we're going to do what we're going to do. And I made it clear that, well, that's fine, but you need to know that this council at the time is going to enforce every bylaw, every fire code, every building code, everything we can to make this better. So right before they left, they were actually standing up on their way out the door, and I said to them, I said, by the way, Gabe was one of the partners. I said, would you sell it? And he went, no, it's not for sale. And kind of scoffed, and out the door they went. 2 days later, we were in the classroom at Town Hall, and the CAO, George Vadavancourt, comes in. We're having a committee of the whole meeting, and he hands me a pink phone message, and he says, can you please, as soon as we're done here, give Joseph Di Tommaso a phone call. Joseph Di Tommaso was their lawyer that was with them that day. And of course, another member of council seen that and was very, was questioning and not nice, but I said, look, I'll let you know when I know what I know. So afterwards, I called Joseph Di Tommaso, and he said, Mr. Mayor, first of all, on behalf of the partners, they've asked me to apologize for their curtness. And quite frankly, it was quite rude. And but they want you to know these properties are not for sale to anyone, but if the town is really interested in these lands, they would consider a sale. And I said, Joseph, that's great. How much? And he said, well, they're looking about $30 million. And I said, well, I can't even take $30 million to council. I mean, that's crazy. And he said, well, what do you think? And I said, $10 million. And he said, no, he actually used my own words. He kind of laughed, and he said, well, I can't even take that to the partners. That's absurd. And so I said, well, what will it take? And he said, well, you give me another number. And I said, $15 million. And he said, well, let me talk to them. And called me back the next day and said, they will consider that. There'd have to be some other conditions and whatnot, but they would consider that. So we took it to council. And at that time, 5 out of 7 members of council agreed and approved that we move forward to purchase these lands. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand here before you today, and I said it then, we cannot control what we don't own, and it was the best purchase this municipality has ever made. Without this, we would not be having this meeting, these conversations, and these folks here tonight. So let's look at it. Here we are some 8 years later. And of course we came up with a plan that you're all aware of, and had we just continued with that plan, we'd probably be done today, but here we are. So during the last term of council, these lands were put up for sale, and they were put up for sale not individually, but as one large package. And the first offer that came in between 2019 and 22 was from a company named Slate, very reputable company, very experienced, could have done this without any problem. And they offered $7 million, and they were going to build 755 units at the beach. And that offer never came together. In the end, the deal fell apart. And so it went on then to a different firm, Baylock, and they offered $18 million and 1,111 units to be built down at the beach. And what's important to understand here, folks, is that this included every bit of land you see up here. It was one package. There were no conditions on when it had to be built. If it had to be built, it was wide open. These folks could have taken it. They could have done some work on it. They could have flipped it and made a profit. They could have done whatever they wanted to it. Unfortunately, another election came along and things changed. Long story short, where are we at today? Well, as you know, the Breakers property was $14 million. Remember, we paid roughly $15 million, and to date with the carrying costs, we're probably around $18, $19 million, thereabouts. So we sold the first section for 14, a hotel and Sunray, 7.68 for their lands, and we've got about another 10 million. So what we will get out of these lands, ladies and gentlemen, is around $31 million plus, and you're only going to see 154 units down there at this point in time. What we also know, these prices on these other lands that we still own are today's prices. What we know is as soon as the Breakers continues to build more and the hotel goes in the ground, that these values are going to go up. So we'll do better than that. Not a bad investment. I've done a few of them, and I'll take this one all day long. Next slide, please. Let's talk a little bit about the hub and high schools in Wasaga Beach. This is the first high school going in the ground, but you know, it's interesting. In 2014, we formed a high school task force, and we fought hard, very hard, for our children of this community. And we ended up getting an unprecedented letter from not one, but two ministers of education that said to the boards, you know, work with the town and build a high school forthwith. We never got there. The last council was happy that a high school might be coming by 2031. This council said not acceptable. And so when we looked at the new arena and library, which at one point was to be a hub, we thought, what a better opportunity but to bring the boards, have a look, and see who wants to be a part of this. And we reached out to both boards at the same time, and the Catholic School Board came to the plate first, and we're very eager to move forward. And so now we're getting two high schools, which is great. Probably one of my proudest accomplishments of anything as your mayor, because this is so vitally important, not only to each and every family, not only to seniors, but to everyone in this town, but most importantly, to our future generations. This particular school is a Catholic secondary school, a Catholic elementary school, and the plan for this is to be a K-12 school, and as more space is needed for the elementary level, so JK, if you will, to grade 8 or maybe grade 6, they'll build another school, they'll transfer those kids, and more high school students will take over more of this school until it's probably separate. There'll be a child care center in here with a significant amount of child care spaces that we desperately need here in Wasaga Beach. But what's really cool about this is this has been a partnership from the beginning with the town, the County of Simcoe, Bob Schickendance and the Schickendance family at Fireside Homes, Lakehead University, Canadore College, the Simcoe-Muskoka District Catholic School Board, and the province of Ontario. And you know, when, as Bob had mentioned earlier, when we first look at this, we thought, well, it's great, except we don't own this land. Who does? Bob Schickendance and his family. So we reached out to Bob, and we said, Bob, we want to build a high school. It desperately is needed in our community. Can you help us? Ladies and gentlemen, Bob's answer was quick and it was simple. Tell me what you need, I'll do it. That's a partnership. Thank you, Bob. So this school is also going to have post-secondary training skills and developments. And what the plan is here, as I understand it so far, is that while kids are going from grades 9 to 12, they'll also be able to take a trade and either have or almost have, by the time they're done high school, their ticket for whatever trade it is that they're going to offer here.
That's great.
That is huge. So this Thursday we will announce, of course, that the contract has been awarded to the builder, and construction will be starting, as Bob said, as early as tomorrow or Thursday, and they hope that this school will be open within the next 18 to 24 months. So this is very exciting. Next slide. You know, I've heard a lot of conversations I've heard and I've had with people in the last 6 months to a year about Beach Drive and the redevelopment of the beachfront. And, you know, folks, I don't know if any of you have ever seen road construction done anywhere in this country anyway. But I don't understand it. I don't understand why it takes so long, but it does. What I can tell you is the amount of work underground that you don't see that gets done here was the first year. And, you know, Arnett Construction, a local company, local employees, local family people working here doing this. I couldn't be more excited they were successful in this. But, I mean, we just had a pretty wild winter. I don't know if you were here. I think we had more snow this winter than we've had in the last 5. These guys and gals worked through that. When I go down this spring and I look at how much they actually got done, I was so surprised and pleasantly surprised. I'm happy to say that they're on time right now. They're on track. This roundabout, as you know, if you've been around there, is almost complete. I think they're going to pave that, if not by the end of this week, early next week. And then they're going to start on First Street and back to Main Street. And of course, while they're doing this, they are always continuing to work on raising Beach Drive. The sheet pile is, I believe, about 90% done. And they'll start putting the concrete caps on top of that pile, and then they'll backfill. And then they still got to come up about if you go down there, I think it's probably 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet. And you can tell because you just got to look at the fire hydrants. The bottom of the fire hydrants where they got to still come up to. So they're on track and they're doing great work. But folks, you got to be patient. This is truly short-term pain for long-term gain. And yes, I've had conversations with several business folks. Some of the business folks that have been in this town for many, many years down there. And the good news is they don't like it, but they understand it. And they truly believe that it's going to be much better when it's done. And so we were just able to get Arnett to put a walkway across for now to the beach at the Playland parking lot. And so that's also going to help some of those businesses down there. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been in business 40 years. And in 40 years, I think my wife and I, Joanne, have probably seen on about 4 occasions where a municipality decided to tear up the road in front of one of our stores. Penetanguishene is a good example of that. 2 summers, it was a mess, and we weren't happy about it. But what we knew is that it was going to be better when it was done, and I can tell you that when it is completed, it is better, and business improves. Next slide, please. This is First Street, and the Breakers First building that is there, and I got to tell you. You know, this is, I understand, Mark, this siding is cement or concrete board. Yeah. And what's amazing to me, and I never noticed it until a while ago, is the variegation in that. I mean, this board is concrete that is to look like cedar shank, And it's got variegation. You'd think it was real cedar shank. I think it's a beautiful building. I think it's a great concept. I'm excited about this, and I can tell you, council is excited about this, and our staff are excited about this. And you know, this is what our streets are going to look like. They're relatively flat, not high curves, so is that they are accessible by all. And this is going to be a great spot for people to go and have a coffee, or you know, maybe a donut or a muffin, one of my favorite things. Or just a drink, and maybe we'll have some bands there and whatnot. I'm sure that Mark Crow, who has been a great partner of the town of Wasaga Beach for many, many years. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't begin to tell you how many dollars that Mark Crow has donated back to this municipality and to organizations like Blues Fest and so on over the years. Thank you, Mark. So, Kenny, your time's just about to begin. So I'm sure that these streets are going to be vibrant and alive. Next slide, please. This is just, you know, the Wasaga Beach waterfront downtown master plan that the province gave us $2 million to do. We've had stakeholders in town here, businesses, local people, school kids. About 1,500 people plus so far have participated in this, so thank you for that. And this is, you know, I just wanted to put this up to let you know that it's coming soon, it's exciting. We think this is going to be done by July. We are headed down, I believe on July the 9th, that just came to us today from the Premier's office. We've been invited back down to meet with all of the different ministries, ministers, deputy ministers, senior staff, to go over the plan so as that they can see the work that's been done, and so as that we can start to have conversations now moving forward as to how we are going to move this plan forward in conjunction with our partners, not only developers and independent businesses, but with the province as well, to make Destination Wasaga Beach a world-class destination for a season. And I'm happy to tell you that the relationship, not only with our partners here tonight, but with other partners and different companies and developers that we're talking to is strong. And you know, our relationship with the province is great. And I can't tell you how important that is, folks, to have a great relationship with the higher levels of government. And we'll also be meeting down in August with them again, and also we have some meetings that we're setting up with the federal government as well now to start talking about tourism from a federal standpoint. Next slide, please. Tourism investment. You know, I want to talk about this a bit because this is a sore spot for some, but you know, this council made it clear that development needs to pay for development. That's been the way it has been for many years, but we need to make sure that continues, and that tourism pays for tourism. And that is not how it's been for many years. Tourism in this town has been paid on the backs of us, the taxpayers, since the beginning of time. And so we are looking at ways to change this. And one way is to implement a 4% municipal accommodation tax, known as a MAT tax, that is collected by all of our providers and remitted to the town. And we estimate that will be, based on what we have today, about $2.36 or $2.4 million a year as it ramps up. That is going to be a lot more money than we have today, and that we spend today on tourism. And these funds are being collected from tourists, and they will be spent on tourism. So we are going to see as this comes forward, and you see this tax in many cities and towns, Blue Mountain, Collingwood, it's all around us. We're one of the last. But to be able to spend that kind of money promoting tourism in the town of Wasaga Beach is going to be a massive, massive boost in tourism and how we get people here from all over the world, and you know, what kind of concerts and venues we can have that are going to also help attract people. So this is a big deal. There are some folks who can't get around the fact that they think that this is a tax to them, when in fact it isn't. It's a tax to the user. It's a user tax. So if you're coming here and you're spending a night, you're paying that 4%. It's not a tax to our accommodators. They're collecting it, they'll remit it to us, but it's a flow through. And this is going to help everybody. And the other thing we hear is, while you're building these big hotels now, what about the existing motels, cottage courts, and so on? And here's what I will say. If you run your business well, if you continue to reinvest in your business, if you have, even if it's an older business, but it's clean and it's neat, people will stay there. My family goes away every year to a little lodge where the cottages are probably 70 years old. They are rustic's the word I will use, but they're clean and we love it. And there's always a market for all levels of accommodation. So it really comes down to the business plan and the operations like anything else. People are looking for good value. They're looking for a quality product and good customer service. It's not difficult. It really is quite simple, and it doesn't matter what business you're in. These estimates will help drive year-round tourism and strengthen our local economy and the tourism brand. They'll support our business growth, job creation, and the tax base expansion. And what's important about everything that this council is working on, it's building, ladies and gentlemen, our commercial tax base. A municipality to be successful needs to have about a 75-25 mix of commercial versus residential. Currently, we're at about 94-6. We've got a long way to go, but we're working hard at that. And the next slide is going to show you how well along the way we are to that. So this is going to also create a vibrant year-round community experience for residents, because there'll be a lot more for you to do, not just in the summer, but all year round. It's going to protect residents' benefits, including free parking, which we this council has opened up to all of our town. And now that we've taken over some of the provincial park, you are now going to be able to park free in those areas as well. It includes those. And of course, it's going to be a shift in the cost of tourism development from you, the local taxpayer, to the visitors who come here. Next slide, please. So let's look at just a few things that have happened over the last 3.5 years or so. The first thing that we ended up getting the casino finished and open. That's 240 jobs. The Catholic High School is another 220 jobs. The Marriott Hotel is going to be 100 plus jobs. The new public high school, which we're really excited about, is another probably 200 plus jobs. Costco, 340 plus jobs. The long-term care facility, 288 beds, 350 plus jobs. Food Basics, 100 plus jobs. Another second Shoppers at this end of town coming soon, another 50 plus jobs. And of course the Hampton Hotel that is going to be built out by the casino, 100 or 80 jobs. We're somewhere between 1,600 and 1,700 jobs, ladies and gentlemen, in 3.5 years. That is huge for our community. I would invite anyone to look at any community of this size and find a time when 1,700 jobs were brought to that community in 3.5 years, 10 years even. This is great news for our residents and for our young people and for our new families coming here, as Anthony had mentioned, or sorry, Matthew had mentioned. Next slide, please. So let's look at attracting investment and the excitement around this community. We were a council that was able to bring the first ever sitting premier to town. Him and I spent an hour traveling throughout town, showing him what he owned and didn't own. He was quite surprised how much he owned. As a matter of fact, a quick story about Premier Ford is 2 years ago, of course, there was a thing out there about people pooping on the beach. And one day I'm in the office and I'm in a meeting, I come back to my office and I check my message, and there's a message from Anna, who is an EA to Premier Ford from the MPP's office, and she says, "Good day, Your Worship, this is Anna," and I'm paraphrasing here, folks, from the Premier or MPP Ford's office, and he's getting a ton of calls about people pooping on your beach, and he wants to know what you're doing about it. So I picked the phone up and I called back and I got Anna's voicemail and I said, "Hello Anna, this is Mayor Smith from the town of Wasaga Beach, and thank you very much for your call, and please thank the Premier for his concern, but please let him know I'm not going to do anything about people pooping on the beach. He needs to deal with that, it's his beach." And hung up the phone. I swear it wasn't 3 minutes. And the phone rang, and I answered the phone. He said, Mayor Smith? I said, yeah. He says, it's Doug Ford calling. I said, well, Mr. Premier, how are you? He said, I'm fine. What the hell do you mean it's my beach? And so we had a good conversation, and it wasn't long later. We actually got some time with him. It was supposed to be 10 minutes down at an AMO conference. It ended up being about 35 minutes. And one of the issues we had that I brought up at that conference was with the deputy mayor as well and some senior staff, was that, you know, we were looking at Costco coming. It wasn't public yet, but there was an issue with the MTO around them wanting to do another bypass to bypass the bypass at some point in 50 years from now. And therefore, you know, they were basically sterilizing a lot of land around that corridor. And so he said, his words were, the MTO is a pain in my ass. And he looked to his assistant at the time, Ivana Yelich, who is now his premier secretary, and he said, you know, get the MTO and we need to have a conversation and have them speak to the mayor. We need to solve this. This is a big deal. So we left that meeting, and I wasn't out of that meeting 30, 40 minutes, and the phone rang, and it was one of the senior people at the MTO saying, okay, we're going to have a conversation and see if we can't fix the problem. I tell you this story because what's important to note here, politics, folks, is like life. It's not rocket science, but it's not easy. And most importantly, it's about building relationships. If you don't build relationships in your life, you're a pretty lonely, boring person. Politics is no different. And I've said this from the beginning, it's always been my mantra. We need to work on building relationships up in order to make good things happen for our community. This is a relationship that is strong, it's vibrant, we have a good chemistry, we laugh, we joke. But I will tell you one thing about Premier Ford, he's all business. We can laugh and joke, but when it gets down to the brass tacks, it's business for him. He's doing what he thinks is best for the province, which is his job. So, you know, we've got more than $450 million in public and private investment. So what is that, $62 million for a K-12 Catholic school, $59 million for a public high school at the Simcoe County District School Board, $11 million on Beach Drive, $25 million on Nancy Island, $2 million for the Destination Master Plan, $500,000 last summer from RTO 7. And how did that happen? We get a call one day on a Friday. One of our general managers says it's a bill from RTO 7. We've got $500,000 the province has given us. We haven't spent it all. We're going to send it back, and they told us to give it to Wasaga Beach. And they said, well, we can't just give it to Wasaga Beach. And they were told, no, give it to Wasaga Beach. And so they called us on the Friday, probably around 2:30, 3 o'clock, and said, we got $500,000. You've got till Monday afternoon to tell us what you're going to do with it so that we can make sure you get it. Do you want it? Yeah, we'll take it. Yeah. We worked through the weekend and went back with the plan, and so we got $500,000, and that helped us do a lot of great things for tourism last summer. $100 million is the investment in the long-term care. $90 million for the breakers when it's all said and done. $60 million plus for Sunray Hotel. $50 million for Costco. The provincial land transfer that we're still working on. The new Shoppers Drug Mart, Food Basics, Farsight Development, Elm Development, Ambria, Fremont, Sunnydale. The number is much higher than $459 million. Ladies and gentlemen, that $459 million is the result of building relationships with good partners. So that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. As I've said, it's a great honor and privilege to be able to do what we do and build the relationships we're able to build. And we're going to keep doing that right up until we can't do it anymore. I'm very excited about this. Gentlemen, partners, thank you for being here tonight. And Matthew, again, thank you for that great story. You mentioned this is your home. You came here as a kid, you grew up here, and now you've come back. Mm-hmm. And I can relate to that. I was born and raised here. I left for a short period of time, and I came back because I just couldn't stand being away. And my mother grew up here, I grew up here, my kids grew up here, and my grandkids are growing up here. And so it's an exciting place to live. It's an exciting time for Wasaga Beach. And again, just keep in mind, folks, we'll make sure that what we do, we build at a pace that we know we can handle. And maybe everyone doesn't agree with that pace, but we won't build past a pace that we can't handle. And we'll hear people talk about traffic, and we'll hear people talk about parking. We'll hear people talk about a lot of things. But here's what I will tell you: if you want to be a successful community, a complete community that has everything that residents want and need, so they don't have to go to Collingwood and Midland and Penetang and Meaford and Barrie and wherever else to spend their money, but they can spend it here with our businesses who are just going to give more taxes back, that's going to take that burden off of you, then this is the thing to do. And remember, one last thing. It is you that makes this community special. It's you that makes this community have a small town feel. It isn't buildings, it isn't cars, it isn't trucks. Traffic and parking is a good problem to have. Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Let's comment.
Okay.
We've heard so many amazing things about this town, but you haven't talked about our amazing transit. I know we have the Flex bus, but when I moved back up here 2 years ago, my friends in the big city said, you're insane. Why would you move to a place that's nowhere? So to prove my point, I got on the bus in Stonebridge, rode into the super center, went to the GO station, and I was downtown Toronto in 2.5 hours for $11 on a senior's rate for $11, and that helps make this community great. Our transit.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for bringing that point up. Our Wasaga transit system is very well used. I think we offer a good system. We're in the process of improving that and adding a route to that. But again, everything we do, we often hear, add routes, do this, do that. A bus is $1 million, $300,000 a year just to staff a bus. It takes time. We have to make sure that road is going to be busy, but we're working on that. We also work with the County of Simcoe to hook up with the Lynx bus that takes back and forth to Barrie, to the GO station, and then from there you can go downtown Toronto. We also work with Collingwood Transit, where we can go back and forth to Collingwood and Blue Mountain, and we now also work with Clearview Transit. So this is growing. We are often having conversations at the county level to help even broaden that further across the county and to make it more trips per day to these areas. And of course, we just added the Flex bus, which is twice a day, morning and late afternoon, that starts at Toronto Union Station, goes over to the airport, and then back into Barrie, and then comes to Wasaga Beach, and then goes to Collingwood and Meaford, and then back. So we're doing everything we can. It does take time, but thank you for bringing that up. Any other questions? No questions from councillors?
I heard a rumor about a seniors building on Zoo Park. Is there any truth to that?
Well, not a seniors building. Do you think they set this up? Thank you, Councillor. It's not a seniors building per se. It is another 154, I believe. Don't hold me to that exact number. Affordable housing units that are coming to Wasaga Beach that the County of Simcoe will get started on late this year. And it is going to be geared, most of it, to seniors, however. And it will be of all different levels, a lot of single bedroom apartments, some doubles, but that's another big positive for Wasaga Beach. We brought the first 100 units, 99 units, to Wasaga Beach in 2018. 2015 is when we started that process with the county, and here we are going to have another 154. Thank you for bringing that up, Councillor. I'll pay you later. Any other questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
Infrastructure, I'm sure that's a concern for a lot of people. Infrastructure, it's a concern for a lot of people. Wasaga Beach is widespread, as we all know. We live way George Avenue at the other end. So to come to the arena and everything else, we all know the frustrations on Mosley, especially the part where the superstore is. So I'm sure there's plans in the future about making sure it's easier to get from point A to point B. So I'd appreciate if you have information on that.
Certainly, thank you very much for the question, and it's a great question. Infrastructure is something that we look at. We do a transit plan study update every 5 years in the town of Wasaga Beach. The next phase, if you will, of expansion is to go from 45th Street to Highway 26. The last expansion we just completed in this term of council was from Veterans Way to Blueberry Trails. That cost around $23 million. It's these numbers, when I tell people these numbers, they just shake their head. It's unbelievable, the cost. When we first started looking at that project, it was $11 million. So just to see how much things have increased over the since COVID. And so that's the next, that was probably going to be about a $30 to $34 million project. It is in line to be happening. The one thing that this council is intent on is making sure that if we're doing large projects, we're doing it with partners. So we're making sure that they're grant dependent, and so when we can apply for and get those grants to move forward, to take the burden off of you, that's when we'll move forward with that. The master plan that we do every 5 years tells us that our infrastructure is solid. It's fairly young, it's fairly new. But there's always room for improvement. What we have to remember, folks, is this was a beach town. This was, I mean, these were dirt roads built, and it's why when you drive through town, there's so many main roads we don't have ditches, we don't have sidewalks, and people say, well, we'll put the bloody ditches and the sidewalks in. You won't believe the cost for a meter of sidewalk. It's unbelievable. And then to do ditches, and so we are doing it, and throughout town, and up where you live, you're going to see the drainage issue get solved in the next couple of years, because we're putting a major drainage system in there, and so we're aware of these issues. We're working at it, but if we had the money, we would do it. But it's difficult, but we know it has to get done, and so we're going to continue to work at that. Yes, ma'am.
Talking about that, like Costco and everything else coming in the area, there's Costco, the casino. I see myself bringing my grandson to school in the morning. Our roundabout is standstill because too many vehicles are stuck in there. So with having more volume, we need to do something. Like it's just hazardous. Yeah, safety. Like I don't know Costco, if there was a plan to have another entrance somewhere, because just the roundabouts, when it's rush hour, like when everyone's going to work in the morning, and Costco's not even open. So that's things that I know it's so spread out that it's hard to deal with everything all at once. But I think it'll be a concern even there for safety purposes, because some people won't even stop at the roundabout.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I will say, and again, very good points, and I don't take any of them lightly, but if roundabouts are at a standstill, that's driver training. That's not the roundabout. The reason we build roundabouts is so traffic continues to move and doesn't stop. When we were first looking at the first roundabouts in Wasaga Beach in 2015, we had people saying, oh, you're going to kill everybody. Roundabouts are the worst thing in the world. But if you went to Europe, there's roundabouts everywhere and traffic moves. And what we've learned here is no roundabout here so far has killed or even hurt anybody that I'm aware of. But anyway, and we're putting more roundabouts so we can make traffic continue to move. We know that infrastructure is going to be needed. I can tell you that the roads, Lions Court, Ramblewood, those roads were built as collector type roads, so is that, because the business park, for example, where Costco is going, has been there for 4 or 5 decades. That was always the plan. So when those roads were constructed, they were constructed to handle the types of traffic. I know that there's, one issue up there is the school, and schools tend to be an issue because I don't know what it is today, but nobody wants their kids to walk to school or take a bus. I mean, everybody drives their children to school. which creates, major havoc. And you know what? Who am I to say take your kids, drive them to school or not? I mean, that's the parents' decision, and I respect that. But it creates a lot of traffic. And so, when we look at the cost to build a school, $60 million, there's not a lot of money left to build, or buy more land and build more parking or kiss and ride areas and so on and so forth. So we're aware of that. We understand it. We're as anxious as anybody to see those traffic flows and what needs to be done. And if there's anything that's real serious, we'll get to work at it, and we'll speak with the province, and we'll see what we can do with an off ramp or an on ramp from 26, for example, those types of things. But we're aware of it, and again, we don't take any of it lightly. We'll continue to do the best we can with the dollars we have. All right, anybody else? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming tonight. I'd like to thank all our guest speakers. They were very quick to answer back to us, and I certainly learned a lot tonight from the various people that were speaking. We've got a great town. I can't wait to see it grow. So thank you again. I'd like to thank Marlwood for looking after us again tonight. Please drive safely. Thank you.